Yeah, it's been a lot of fun meeting guys that I played against, played with on all levels. I got some guys I played with from high school. It's been really great. This has been a lifelong dream of mine to come out to the combine. I've been watching it since I was a little kid, and out here I'm just trying to put my best foot forward and take every meeting and every activity just one rep or just one word at a time. And this process has been really awesome, and I'm just looking forward to keep it rolling. There's actually a lot of different opinions. I've had teams that I kind of see myself projecting more inside, but at the next level. But I feel like I still will always have the capability of kicking out to tackle, just based off kind of my athletic ability. And I even did kind of play center my first year at Michigan, so I still have that. So I've just been kind of pitching my versatility as offensive lineman, and teams kind of tell me not to push off the tackle idea, and it's something I'm fine with. I mean, I don't care. Just my whole career, I've always just wanted to get on the field.
Why do you think you'd be better inside?
I think moving inside, I consider myself pretty athletic, so moving inside, I feel like I'll match up pretty well against the athletes that they have, a 3 technique and nose guard, stuff like that. And need be, like I said, kicking out the tackle, it'd be a smooth transition, right, left, doesn't matter for me. Yeah, I played with Rashawn for 3 years. He was a great physical, fast player. I took my lumps against him in practice, but it got me to this point out of my career, and I'm thankful for how hard he pushed me. I never really told him that, but it was always I always went into practice just trying to beat him and other guys that I grew up had to go against at Michigan. That the Taco Charltons, the Chris Wormleys, Willie Henry, stuff like that. I feel like they've been preparing me for this moment and further on in the NFL. Yeah, it would be really cool. I went to the same school as my dad, playing for the same professional team, and kind of the area where we settled down. I haven't really thought about it too much. I don't want to get my hopes up, but it would be something awesome. I grew up just in the tradition of Philadelphia sports. They're different about their sports down there. I don't know how else to say it, but I understand everything about that city and the toughness and the grit that they expect from their players. And if I'm lucky enough to go there or any NFL team, I'll always put my best out for them. I talked to them a little bit, not really no formal interviews with them, but just a little bit, yeah.
What was it like growing up with Jon Runyan? He was such a prominent player in the Philly area, and everyone really set such an amazing life after football conference. What's it like growing up?
Yeah, growing up it was kind of hard, especially trying to play football in the Philadelphia area. People always giving me kind of these unfair comparisons against my dad when I was just a 14-year-old kid, just like trying to find my way. I didn't even know what position I was good at yet, so it was really difficult, and I still get those comparisons against him, to him, I mean. So I feel like sometimes they're kind of unfair. I'm still kind of growing into my own, and I feel like I'm at the point that my whole life I've been living kind of in a shadow, but I'm trying to step outside that shadow and just cast a bigger one over that one. Yeah, exactly what you just said. When you're playing tackle, you're kind of out there on the edge, you're in space, you got a lot more time, you can kind of let things happen in front of you, but when you're in there playing guard, like you said, you're in that phone booth, and in guard, you kind of have help on every play, or you're helping someone else. But tackle, you're kind of out there on the island. But I enjoy both aspects of it. When you move inside the guard, it's a lot more physical game. As soon as the ball snaps, somebody's on you. And tackle, like you said, you're playing back there, reacting to what the defensive end's doing, and I found myself pretty good at that. I'm just relying on my technique. I played against some really good defensive ends this year, and I feel like I played really well against them. So moving back and forth, phone booth, out in space on the island, doesn't really matter for me. I enjoy both of them. Yeah, Juan's meant everything to me. He got to Michigan around this time last year, and he'd set up these workouts and send us workouts that we could do, and we'd go out there on the field and go through it, and we'd be able to go up there, and he taught us how to watch film, how to watch tape, and how to prepare for opponents, and he would make cut-ups for us against with plays that we had from last week that were good in practice or in the game, and stuff we have to work on to improve, and cut-ups of players that were playing this week and their moves and their counters off that, and just he'd always preach us to rely on our technique. And like I said, I went against some really good defensive ends, and I was never nervous for 1 second because I went into every game just knowing I was prepared, and I just had to do what I've been doing for this past week in practice, and it turned out really well. So Juan was really instrumental to my technique this year and everything for sure.
Able to share that with your dad, that experience being coached by Juan?
Yeah, it really was. I remember my dad called me. I was actually on spring break, and I was on the golf course with a couple of buddies, and he told me that Juan was coming to Michigan, and I was like, no way, like, why is Juan coming to Michigan? Juan's an NFL guy, and Juan actually thought that I had graduated at the time, so he was like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I missed you, and I was like, no, I'm still at Michigan. So, yeah, that's really awesome. I remember growing up with Juan. His son went to my high school for a year. Their family lived in the same town as us, so like I said, known him from years. He's known me since I was a little kid, so just having to come full circle with him coaching my dad and then getting to coach me for a year, and then possibly being able to coach me with the Chicago Bears is something that's just really awesome. Yeah, like I said, I just relied on my technique. Chase is a phenomenal player, obviously. I kind of understood his game from evaluating on him film. He's a huge body. That's pretty evident. I've been walking past him and kind of looking up to him. But I kind of knew his game, and he's not really that big bull rushing guy. He's going to try to beat you with speed, and when he does beat you with speed, he's going to burn you, and he's going to hit the quarterback hard. I mean, I remember he got me one time, and he planted Shea, but Shea got the ball off in time, and I felt so bad because I heard him pick up Shea and dump him on the ground. And what? No, I heard when Chase picked him up and dumped him on the ground. I heard Shea like exhale, and it just felt so bad. And that was the one hit that I let up on Shea, and I felt so bad. And I looked at Shea in the eye, and I just apologized to him right there. It was a third down, and it was kind of late in the game, but I was able to get into a rhythm against him. I knew that I had to get off on the snap count, and it was kind of tough because with this offense we had no indicator, and we kind of just went on first sound clap. So that was really difficult, and he's up there in a 2-point stance staring at the quarterback, so I'm kind of at a disadvantage there. But I was able to work it, and I felt like I did pretty good for myself going against a second overall pick, seemingly. No. Yeah, I mean, we knew our game plan in this game was that we were going to slide to where he was, and they figured that out really early. So they started putting him to the 3 technique side, where he usually plays on the weak side. So they kind of shut that off. So we were sliding to the 3 technique and Chase Young, and the guard wasn't really able to help because the 3 technique was playing outside. So we were they found out our game plan. So then we started incorporating the chip stuff in there, and it kind of started working, and started figuring that stuff out. So then we started going empty protection, stuff like that, and sliding away from him. And he did get me one time an inside move at empty protection, but thankfully it was a quick throw. The ball got out. So we were just trying to give him different looks. People like to say that we triple teamed them. I don't think you can ever triple team somebody. Like, it doesn't just make sense mathematically. So, yeah, I mean, do what you can to eliminate one of the best players in the country, and that's what we did. And he's a great physical player. A lot of respect for him. He's going to do great things in the NFL. Yeah. Yeah, I knew going into the game that my hands are going to be important, and he's a big, strong guy, and people like to say I have short arms, but I disagree with that. So, my technique was kind of a little different. Most people try to punch and grab the breastplate of the shoulder pads, but I was taught to kind of punch wide and kind of clamp the outside shoulder pad, because if you got a defensive end like Chase who's so strong, and he's going to be clubbing your outside hand, and you got that wide, and when he knocks it down, you're able to replace it really quick. But if you're punching tight and inside with that on that breastplate, he's going to knock your hand down, and then your shoulder's going to go with it, and he's going to get the edge on you. So that's something I really try to focus on with him. I'm all about getting that first initial contact and then reacting off of that. Once you get that first initial contact, to kind of throw off the timing of his rush, that's something that I was really focusing on. And from there, it's just grabbing, and then it's a dogfight, trying to react to their counter moves. Yeah, well, that game last year was actually the third time I went against him. I played against him in 2017. I went in for like quarter and a half at right tackle. They had Nick Bosa, Sam Hubbard, and at the end of the game, I looked and I saw Chase, and I was like, "Who is this guy? This guy's huge. Why hasn't he been playing?" But I didn't really see him at all. And then everybody got introduced to him the 2018 year, and 2019 he obviously exploded onto the scene. And I didn't really have him figured out in 2018 and 2019. I kind of knew what to expect and just trusted what I've been taught and just went out there and tried to execute.
I was talking with Bryson Hopkins, and I'm trying to get the Llama to fight against him.
Yeah.
Is this true? Did you fight him when you were a child, or do you remember this?
I don't remember it, but that's a story. Yeah, me and Bryson's dad played with each other when they were both in Tennessee, and our mother's best friends still to this day. And to be honest, I don't really remember much from when I was like 1 to 3 years old when I was living in Tennessee. But we've remained in contact. Bryson goes to Purdue. My sister goes to Purdue. So I know Bryson's looking after my sister over there, and the Hopkins family's a great family. It's just awesome that those two little kids that were down there playing at Titans training camp are now here at the NFL Combine.
There's a lot of things that came up like once a year. Like, you remember like in the family?
Yeah, his mother loves to remind my mother about that. So. My career, I think it's a tie between him and AJ Epinesa, or I'm sorry if I mispronounce his name, but both their styles are completely different. I struggled with AJ early on in the game. I struggled with Chase throughout the game, even though it kind of didn't seem like that. AJ, he's kind of the weakness of what I play. So I'm a vertical setter in college, and the weakness of the vertical set is what AJ loves to do, which is bull rush and one-arm stab. And he switches it up, goes one-arm stab, and he swipes your outside hand. So he was able to catch me leaning a lot, catch me off guard. I wasn't really early on in the game, the first 3 or 4 drives, I wasn't really keen on his shoulders. So when they come to me and he starts running downhill, I wasn't able to get my hips down to react to the bull rush. So I'd say probably the 2 best rushers I played against were Chase and AJ for sure.
What your dad told you about this process?
Yeah, he told me it's a grind. Obviously, it's going to be long days, and you're going to wake up really early, a lot of sleep deprivation. But this has been my dream. I'm not going to let lack of sleep, lack of anything, take away from anything I've been working for my whole life. So I came into this knowing what to expect, and I'm just taking it day by day, enjoying the process. And this is every high school athlete's dream coming out NFL scouting combine. So I'm just coming in with that mentality and just enjoying everything I'm doing here. Yeah, my dad's always been kind of hands-off with everything, to be honest. He's always been there as a resource, probably the greatest resource that anybody can have. he was with me when I was in high school. He was able to come to practices sometimes, and he'd always be sitting there. Even when I just got done homework, I'd come downstairs. He'd be sitting there watching my huddle tape, writing down notes for me, and it was really helpful, kind of teaching me just the beginnings of how to watch film, because in high school I don't really know how to watch film. So he was kind of doing that. From that aspect, watching film, he really taught me a lot about that. And like I said, he was hands off with everything. And if I had something technique-wise to come to him, there's been multiple times throughout these past 2-3 years I've been going against a guy where there was pass pro technique or run block technique. I'll text my dad and, hey, like, what would you do this if you got a 4-eye and you're running a pin and pull play? Like, how would you step? Are you stepping with outside footwork or inside footwork? And how are you going to pin? What's your landmark? And I remember one vividly, he gave my mom, we went on FaceTime, and he gave my mom the phone, and my dad was lined up at left tackle, and he had my sister lined up in a 4-eye, and my mom was sitting there in the living room trying to get all the angles and stuff like that. And that just stuff's just awesome, and like there's nothing you can do that can make up for that. And I had that was for a game playing against Nebraska in 2018, and had one of my better games that game too. So stuff like that, it's just unbelievable, and I'm just thankful for him. He's gone about it the right way, just never been too pushy or overshadowing, and he's just always been there when I needed him.
John, what's your earliest football memory? Whether it was watching your dad or something you remember early on?
Yeah, I got a lot of football memories. I do know that I went to every home football game except when it was Sunday night football or Monday night football, because I got school the next morning. I just remember going Eagle Stadium. I'd always wake up early. I just love football. When I was younger, I'd throw on my dad's jersey, and I'd be waiting downstairs, and my sister's still asleep. My mom was trying to get us all out the house, drive over to the stadium, and I'd love to get to the game 2 hours before the game started. I loved to watch warm-ups. I remember sitting up in our seats, and I was just sitting in my chair. Everybody's over back there socializing. The kickers are out, and I'm down there. I'm just staring at warm-ups because I just love the game of football. And after the games, I was able to go down into the locker room, and I'd be down there with Brian Dawkins Jr., and we'd be getting all the used, sweaty, nasty tape rolling up into balls, and we'd be playing tackle man with the ball in the locker room. We were probably annoying the hell out of the guys there, but everybody respected us because we were Brian Dawkins and Jon Runyan's sons. I don't know if you could really say anything at that time, but just going to the locker room, and then my dad would always have tailgates after the game right in the parking lot, and just playing around, kicking Gatorade bottles like they were footballs, throwing them. It's something that I was just entrenched in, and those memories were awesome. And my dad played all the way till I was in 7th grade, which is crazy to think about. He was out in San Diego for half a season and went out there, and I was just so blessed to have those memories of just being in Philadelphia and San Diego.
And I know you